discusses topics that may be disturbing to some viewers. It discusses cases of missing and or murdered victims whose case was solved using forensic genetic genealogy. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rodney Peter Johnson was last seen in the late 1980s. The very last known piece of information about him was that he was working for a Chinese restaurant in Ballard, Washington, called the Golden Dragon, and was living with his aunt and cousin. However, in the latter part of 1987, he was arrested. Nothing was heard from him after that. In 1994, one of Rodney's sisters reported him missing to the Salvation Army in Seattle. On the 11th of June 1994, two fishermen trying to untangle fishing line from some bushes on the north shore of Lake Stickney in Everett, Washington found a male body wearing work boots, socks, briefs, a belt and jeans. The body had already begun to hit the stage of decomposition called adiposer. That is when the soft tissue of the body turns gray and waxy. It normally happens only if the body has been subjected to moisture for a long period of time. We are talking months or sometimes years. Decomposition was so advanced that portions of both arms were missing, which also meant the body had been weighted down in the water and broke loose to then float to the surface of the water. The body was autopsied by Dr. Eric Kiesel, where it was determined that the cause of death was a gunshot wound to the head and estimated that the remains were that of a white male approximately 5'11". The teeth on the body were noted to be extensively worked on. Due to the state of decomposition, it was difficult for the forensic artist to find the correct facial reconstruction, age, and race of the victim. It became known as the Lake Stickney Doe. A missing persons report was officially filed with the police in 1996 for Rodney Johnson. At that time, investigators began trying to find out information on the type of person Rodney Johnson was and his last known activities. Finding information proved to be very difficult for investigators because Rodney had only little contact with his family. The last thing they knew was that Rodney was leaving on a camping trip with a female. At one point, his father said that Rodney had reached out to him in the late part of the 1980s asking for some money. However, it was over the phone and not in person. His father thought it was more than likely due to some type of legal issue at the time. In October of 1994, the skull of the Lake Stickney Doe was used in a course in reconstruction sketching. The course produced 5 different sketches. Only the one on the left of these sketches was released to the public. Around this time, the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office was contacted by detectives with the Seattle Police Department to see if the Lake Stickney Doe could be one of the missing persons they were investigating, who they suspected was a probable homicide victim. It ultimately was determined that they were not the same person via DNA comparison. In July 2000, the Doe Network, which is an all-volunteer organization that lists missing and unidentified persons cases submitted by law enforcement and family members. It includes cases from North America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. The Lake Stickney Doe was then uploaded to their database. In 2005, there was what investigators thought could be a person of interest out of California. But their DNA eventually eliminated them as the person Snohomish County Sheriff's Office was looking for. It was at that time that the Lake Stickney Doe's DNA was placed in the Combined DNA Index System, which includes DNA profiles collected from crime scene evidence, convicted offenders, felony arrestees, missing persons, and unidentified human remains. In 2008, the Lake Stickney Doe was included on the 7 of Hearts in a set of playing cards that the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office Cold Case Team and Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound released. Over the next 12 years, there was an updated sketch of a possible look of the Lake Stickney Doe. In 2020, Authorm Labs were able to sequence the DNA enough to upload it to a public database, which from that point forensic genetic genealogists were able to come up with a family tree matching this person's DNA up to a first cousin. That match spoke of not hearing from a certain Johnson branch of their family. Detectives went back to the initial missing person report for Johnson and found the name of his mother, father, and siblings. They all matched the names on the tree that was created by the forensic genetic genealogist investigators. On August 4, 2020, with confirmation made through DNA, was the Lake Stickney Doe was in fact Rodney Peter Johnson. The only thing now which is left unsolved is the who and why. There was no information on anything further with this particular case that I could see. I am glad that he is able to be laid to rest with the proper name. I hope that anyone that does know or was involved will at some point soon come forward so that the family can truly have a long overdue ending and closing of this horrific chapter in their life, and may Rodney rest in peace.